Few learners who came on this platform, I was surprised to see that they felt like if they don't have that kind of an accent, or if they don't try to mimic the way the foreigners speak, then they don't know good English, which was, I think, a very negative impact on the mind. Which is why I make it a point after that to tell all my learners to never ever have that kind of a expectation.
Yeah, I said hi and good evening.
Hi, good evening. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing absolutely well. Doing wonderful. Thank you.
Great.
How are you doing?
I'm good too. Thank you so much for asking. I see that this is your 242. Oh, you've been on the app for quite some time now. It's been a
Yeah,
long journey.
since beginning of this year.
Hmm. So, how has the journey been?
Quite interesting, quite beautiful so far.
Hmm. Has it been
Mm.
helping you with your whatever issues you had with English when you joined Clappingo?
Yeah, more than English, I'm enjoying talking with people.
Great.
So yeah, it is definitely fulfilling lots of, kind of what can I say? Uh,
Expectations?
yeah, not expectations. I don't have expectation, I have reality, so not expectations. But yeah, it
Right.
is fulfilling lots of my needs.
Right. So, when you joined Clappingo, what is it that you wanted to work on?
Like everything, English, overall English. So, everything includes in English, like pronunciation, vocabulary words, phrasal verbs,
Right.
communication style, everything.
Right. So, was it for professional reasons or personal reasons?
For both reasons, because
Okay.
yeah, I want to grow in my life. I mean, I've already grown, and I mean, yeah, life is something which you'll have to always grow on in.
Right.
So yeah, but after all, I felt like, English would help me in my professional career and as well as my personal career.
Right. Right. Okay. So, has there been any time where I don't know if it's professional or personal, but any point of time in any situation, have you ever been through that phase where you wanted to say something badly, but suddenly in between that conversation, you could not get a particular word, so you got stuck and you just went blank, like you couldn't speak after that?
Yeah, it happens. It happens because it is my second language, and I have been not exposed to English during my childhood. So I have been learning from last 3 years. So it happens lots of time. Yeah.
Okay. So, have you ever tried to reflect on that? Like, after some time when you sat alone, did that word actually come back to your mind
Yes,
that you were looking
it
for?
comes. It comes after a while, but it does
Right.
not come at the
When you
time
need
when
it.
I want to. Yeah.
Right. So, have you ever sat and reflected why that happens?
I feel it is natural, right? So kind of and it happens with me usually because I feel like it is second language, so I have to recall the vocabulary, and when I'm trying to recall and I'm putting the effort on my mind tends to go somewhere else, and it
Right.
happens.
Right. Two things. First
Hmm.
thing is, English is your second language. Yes, correct.
Hmm.
As Indians, English has to be our second language.
Hmm.
Unlike the foreigners, it's their mother tongue. So we can
Yeah.
never expect our English to ever be like theirs. So never ever compare your English to them and feel like I don't know English. It's just
No,
useless.
I
The
never
second,
compare my English with anybody because I
right?
know I'm unique and I
Great.
have my own way of speaking, own way of doing
Exactly.
everything. So why
Exactly.
would I copy somebody else, right? And I
Not
feel
about
like,
copy, but a few learners who came on this platform, I was surprised to see that they felt like if they don't have that kind of an accent, or if they don't try to mimic the way the foreigners speak, then they don't know good English, which was, I think, a very negative impact on the mind. Which is why I make it a point after that to tell all my learners to never ever have that kind of a expectation from themselves.
I have felt it in people. Like, people are not themselves. in their life, right? So they just want approval from somebody else, validation. So that's why they want to learn the accent, so somebody will validate them. Yes, he really know, or they really know English. But for
Right,
me, it is just fun. I speak a language, and I just want to communicate with people, the
right,
mass audience in this world. That's why I'm learning this language. Otherwise, there is no value of this language. The
right.
the valuable part in this any language is communication. Right?
True. So when I was addressing the issue of English being our second language, I also wanted to address the fact that when we speak our mother tongue, whatever
Mhm.
language it might be, we never go through this issue. Like, we never get stuck in between and then we just don't get blank ever. In our mother tongue, it never happens. Yes, we do
No.
get, but sometimes we will remember that and then we will continue the conversation, but we will never get stuck like in English. That is because our brain is thinking in the same language and our mouth is speaking in the same language.
Yeah.
When it comes to English, that's not the case. There's actually your brain is still thinking in your mother tongue and you're speaking in English.
Translating. Yeah, translation is
Yeah,
going
so your
on
brain is
in the
taking some
background.
time to translate. Now, there is a very, very grave need for you to change that. You have to train your mind to start thinking in English.
Mhm.
That way, you will never fumble. I'm not saying you'll never make mistakes, but you will never get stuck and just don't know how to move forward. That situation would never come if you train your mind to start thinking in English as well. Like, for example, when I say thinking in English, like,
Mhm.
let's say, imagine an apple in your mind. Like, just imagine,
Mhm.
right? So now when you imagine the apple, I'm pretty sure that the first time when you made that apple in your mind, it was in your mother tongue. It was not in English. Even though you are not speaking, your brain is so comfortable with your mother tongue that it would have made the apple in your mother tongue. But
Yeah.
now when I consciously ask you to make that apple in English, then your mind goes ahead and makes that same picture but in English, even
Right.
without words. So you see the difference. Even the thinking, the thought process from where this begins, like your speech begins from your thoughts. So
Mhm.
your thoughts have to be in English first, then comes speech.
Mhm.
Otherwise, there will always be that lag, your brain translating something and then telling you. Now, this is not something you can change overnight. This is a process that slowly happens over a period of time, gradually. So that is the first thing I wanted to address. That is, you need to train your mind to start thinking in English.
Mhm.
Right. And the second thing that I wanted to address regarding the same issue is that if it is not this issue, then definitely your brain is giving you signals that if you are getting stuck and you're not moving forward from there, like you're not being able to continue that conversation, then that means it is a confidence problem. It is not an English problem, it is a confidence problem. Now, this confidence problem can be due to multiple reasons, and one of the most obvious reasons is that your brain is not focused on one particular thing. Multiple thoughts are running in your mind
Mhm.
at that point. Let's say, for example, you're in a meeting and the meeting is going on, you're in a conference room and all of your colleagues are sitting, and then the presentation is given and the presentation is done, and now they call for all of the employees or colleagues to give their opinions,
Mhm.
and somebody just points their finger at you and says, Anand, I want you to give your opinion first.
Mhm.
Immediately there's this kind of fear, there's this kind of hesitation that comes. Maybe after that one moment when you start speaking, it's all smooth, but that one moment of hesitation proves that there is a confidence issue. Now, why
Mhm.
does that happen? Because you let somebody else point a finger at you and say, Anand, I want you to speak. So,
Mhm.
how do we solve this issue? Whenever you have a confidence problem, this is something that I teach my learners always. It's a two-step process. The first step is to prep yourself internally. The
Mhm.
first thing is whenever you enter such meetings or a public place where you may or may not be called to give your opinion or speak in front of people, always prep yourself internally and say, what's the worst thing that can happen? I might say something wrong. People might judge me. Who cares? I'll make a mistake, I'll learn. That's all. That's all matters. This is the internal preparation you will do. However, speaking theoretically of all of these things is very easy. How do we practically follow it? So for uh, practical use, you have to be the first one to start the conversation. Like when I gave you an example in a meeting room, somebody points a finger at you and says, Anand, I want you to give me your opinion. Rather, rather than waiting for somebody to point a finger at you and say, you give me your opinion, you raise your hand before that and say, I want to be the first one to give my opinion. You
Mhm.
see the difference? Now, when you raise your hand, you feel in control. I was the one who raised my hand. Nobody put pressure on me. That is how our brain functions. So always
Mhm.
be the first one to start the conversation. That itself will help you boost your confidence to one next level. Okay. Now, this practice you can start on clapingo itself. Like
Mhm.
today, because you were on mute, I was not able to hear, but I think today also you started the conversation. Similarly, every class, try to be the first one to start the conversation, like initiate the conversation. Like today, I think you said hi, good evening. So try to start the conversation in the sense that be first greet the tutor and then maybe ask them something. Just be like, how was your day? Or how are you doing? Tell me something about yourself. Be the first one to start the conversation. That itself will put you at ease. There won't be any pressure. You'll be calm. You won't have any kind of hesitation to speak. Right?
Mhm. Mhm.
That way, confidence will never go down.
No, I never had a problem with confidence issue. I have been always very confident because I know
Hmm.
I'm speaking the second language, and anything could happen. I can make mistake. I can fumble. I can stuck somewhere. This is natural part of learning the language. So I had
Yes.
never any problem with these situations, right? But after all, I think like, yeah, people judge you, and it's people mentality because they judge you. They never judge you for making mistake in your mother tongue, but they always judge
Right.
you for making mistake in second language, and that is
Right.
opposite. They should have not judged you making the mistake in second language. They should have judged you in first language, your mother tongue. So this society is weird. People are weird. They are not, knowing like they are ignoring the truth. One should be judged in the first language, not second language.
True.
I have never been problem with it, and I have been teaching lots of people around me. Like this is the second language. You are just thinking about people around you. You are thinking about the crowd mentality, like what they are gonna tell you about your English. Just go and
But
express
that's
yourself.
the issue today, right? That's the bigger issue today. Like a lot of learners like you who come on this platform don't share the kind of mentality that you have. For you,
Mhm.
it is okay if people judge you. But for a lot of learners who came on this platform, I was surprised to see that they're working so hard to actually get to a position like a team leader or a promotion or whatever. And it's just because their English is not better than somebody else's that they're not
Mhm.
getting that position, although their work is much better than that. So now
Mhm.
again, it comes to the same point, right? Again, it comes to the point where only if people think I know good English, I will get that position. So one way or another, you're forced to think about them, even if you don't want to,
Mhm.
right? So that is not something you can evade. That's inevitable. That will definitely be there. But the fact that you have a different approach to life and a realistic approach is very good. That that is good. That's hats off. Yeah,
Mhm.
continue that. Don't ever let that